This may surprise some of the younger audience members, but console wars are nothing new. Right back in the days of the 8-bit consoles, people were arguing over which one was the best. Unfortunately, I didn't take part in such arguments, largely because the CPC was pretty terrible. "Sure mate, I've got a NES. I can load games in an instant thanks to cartridges." "Yeah, well, I have a Master System, or you can load multiple games in an instant without cartridges. And I have a CPC. I can load games in like 10 minutes if it's a small game and nothing interferes with the load process like minute specks of dust on the tape I'll be over here." But, being British, CPC users realised that if they couldn't win that war, then they'd jolly well start one that they could win. So a lot of our time was spent lording over Sinclair Spectrum users, because as bad as the CPC was, the Spectrum was even worse. But the Spectrum crowd managed to get their own back. Oh, how they got their own back. See, because the Sinclair and CPC used very similar programming languages, it wasn't hard to put the games from one console onto the other. Thus, the CPC market was flooded with hurried, not very good conversions of hurried, not very good video games. Like today's title, Hostile All-Terrain Encounter, otherwise known as H.A.T.E. There's no plot in the game, or in the manual. Your first indicator that you're onto a winner, but the mag I used to read, The Glorious Amstrad Action, got the plot from the programmers themselves. They recap the plot thus. 339 years into the future, military simulators have progressed beyond the usual blocky flight sims. Now, new pilots get sent to a mysterious planet called Strip World in order to test their skills. So you take control of two vehicles, a rocket ship and a tank. These two vehicles take part in a relay race of sorts, going through various regions of Strip World and tagging one another after they finish their training run. Rather than just flying from point A to point B, you do have a mission to take care of. In each stage, you find a number of nuclear reactors, which show up as huge, suspicious-looking spheres. I guess whoever built Strip World was the same guy who designed the island in Glider Rider. Anyway, whenever you destroy a reactor, it leaves behind a bunch of nuclear waste, which packs itself into fully sealed, easy-to-tow drums. How convenient! Your mission is to achieve as many of these drums as you can. To begin with, you don't have any shields, and one hit will kill you. What you can do, however, is to use the drums you're towing as a shield of sorts. One barrel equals one extra hit you can take before you explode in a blaze of 8-frame glory. So on the surface, it seems like a pretty good idea. I mean, it's a poor man's version of Sega's Zaxxon, which is a really big hit at the time. And to look at it, it looks like a pretty good game. Granted, it's not advanced as the game it's trying to be, but it's running on inferior hardware. You've got to expect some sacrifices, right? Exactly. But see, that's where the problem is. If I were Spectrum's ZX81 gamer, I'd continue on about how this is a delightful game that runs just dandy. But I'm not. I'm CPC gamer, dammit, and my console is better than the one this game was written for. This game isn't a delight, and it doesn't run just dandy. I mean, look at it! I've not altered the speed of this video at all. This is how slow the game runs. I'm fairly sure if I maintained a brisk walk, I'd be able to outpace that rocket ship. And I know the CPC wasn't exactly deep thought, but would it kill you to give me more than 2 colours? And the whole thing is Nintendo hard to cap it all off. Ah well. The music in H.A.T.E is pretty awesome. Sometimes. Hear me out with this one. The music hardware in the CPC, AY38912, was able to play up to 3 different sounds at once. Now, pretty common trick in the days of 8-bit trackers was to run music through one of the channels which would usually be reserved for sound effects. This means we could play music through all 3 channels and have sound effects when required. Of course, this trick meant that if you needed to play a sound effect, you'd have to stop whatever was already playing on that channel. Usually, this isn't too much of a problem. The music only gets interrupted once in a blue sphere. But in the case of H.A.T.E, the music that should sound like this actually sounds more like this. And that sucks, because when it's not being interrupted by gunfire, the music is fantastic. But that's Ben Dalglish for you, one of the big names of the CPC music community, and certainly one of the better composers. Oh, hey, another example of clever programming in the game. This game renders everything in Mode 1. That is, the default graphical setup for the CPC, the one that it uses for its BIOS. That's pretty awesome when you consider most of the things rendered in Mode 1 look like this. Yeah, think about that. So until next time, goodbye.